Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Victor Ndoma-Egba, SAN. I represent Cross River Central. Let me start by congratulating Senator Saraki, former chairman of Governors Forum, for this very, very timely motion. Because fuel subsidy, whether its management, whether, as my brother Hakota Baribe asked, to be or not to be, is the issue of the moment. Fuel subsidy is the issue of today in our political and economic discourse. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as a young man when I bought my first car, my monthly fuel budget was 4 naira. It was 4 naira. And I remember that from about 1991, well, between when I bought my first car and 1991, there were increases in fuel price. But after 1991, the increases became more regular. And the argument then by the military was that they were removing the distortions in petroleum pricing because they wanted to remove subsidies.
That year I will take your point of order later, not now. Yes. He wants to raise a point of order on the issue of the military, but I will take it later on.
I was not referring to Democrats like Mr. President. I remember that the price of fuel moved from 30 kobo to 70 kobo to 7 naira to 9 naira to 11 naira to 12 naira to 65 naira today because the issue of subsidy was to be addressed. Mr. President, it is my belief that this argument about subsidy will be endless because subsidy, in my view, is a mirage that benefits a small group of faceless Nigerians. We must unearth who these Nigerians are. I agree. Because the whole issue of subsidy is opaque and totally lacks transparency. We must identify who is the beneficiary of this so-called subsidy. Mr. President, I don't want to preempt the outcome of whatever committee or committees will be set up as a consequence of this motion. But let me say this. Whether we like it or not, we must go beyond the prayers proposed in this motion. We will not escape it. Before last week, it was in the realm of speculation whether or not subsidies will be removed. But sometime last week, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this Senate received official correspondence from Mr. President when he forwarded the medium-term expenditure framework that subsidies will be removed. That is now the official position of the executive arm of government. There are those who are arguing that subsidies should stay. So we now are at the two ends of a spectrum. The government says subsidies are going, some are saying subsidies must stay. So the argument today, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is whether subsidies will stay or will go. So if we take the prayers, if we limit ourselves to the prayers in this motion, it will be a great disservice to the people of this country if we investigate the management of subsidies and we discover, one, that there has been massive corruption, and we discover that there has been inefficiency, and we discover that subsidies have not been justified, we discover that subsidies have not benefited the people in the streets. Are we still going to say that subsidies should stay? So I think the prayers on this motion will just be the beginning of the prayers. So I am going to suggest, Mr. President, while I support this motion, I support it because I have not benefited from subsidy. My people have not benefited from subsidy. I come from a place that is 10 minutes drive from the next town in another country. So when we get petroleum products, it is taken across to the next country and then brought back from that country and sold to us at over 200 naira per liter. So my people have not benefited from subsidy. We don't know how it looks like. We don't know how it feels. So at the end of the day, Mr. President, I want to say that this Senate will be doing a disservice if we stop at merely investigating the management of subsidy. We must go beyond that and also determine whether the subsidies are justified or not justified and whether they must stay or they must go.